Hey everyone, and welcome to Commander Cast episode 302. Where you're I didn't even get to this. I didn't even get to the second sentence. This is the best. Hey everyone, and welcome to Commander Cast episode 302. We're your weekly source for community strategy and technology, hosted on CommanderSociety.com and our home site, CommanderCast.com. This week, it's the dynamic duo again.
Yeah.
What's up, Adam?
Not a lot. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited for one specific reason. I get to correct an English teacher. You said 302, and it's supposed to be 302.
I guess? Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, can we not do 302? Can we not do that?
It's not supposed to be an and.
Okay, I suppose. Really? Maybe, is that like an old-timey thing? Okay, I don't know.
It might be, I don't know.
I will stand on my laurels and say, because it deals with numbers, I am still okay. So, I don't know. Is that like the 1492 thing? It's like, can we not do that? We can't throw the ands in there?
I mean, they just capitalized everything, and threw extra words in for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I kind of think of it like the accent in like Shakespeare, you know? Like when they throw like an extra syllable in there, like a blessed and stuff. Like, I kind of like doing that, you know? That makes no fucking sense, but whatever. Anyway, folks, this is a fascinating way to talk about magic.
So we're here to talk about magic.
Anyway, there's some stuff happening in community this week. And then we're also going to talk more generally about the topic in hand, which is about complexity in magic, and also about fiddly bits. Because if there's one thing we were like, it's fiddly bits.
I love fiddling.
I mean, I just need more counters in my life, really.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
little glass beads. Always
little glass beads. I mean, I literally this morning I was watching an older. I mean, I'm sure people have seen this by now, but I'm catching up on like older episodes of Tolarian Community College, and the professor was just advocating of going out and buying like $1 bag of glass beads, you know, from like Bed Bath and Beyond. I'm like, fucking yes. And now I just need to go do that. So that's what we're going to talk about, folks. So stick with us. Keep up with the conversation on Facebook and Twitter this week, and stick with us after the break for some community. Yay, community. This week in community, ladies and gentlemen, stuff happened.
Yeah, there was a little bit of news.
Yeah. Adam, you want to run down important? Just the broad strokes, and then we'll kind of put our 2 cents in?
Sure. So, very simplistic and quick telling of it. By all means, check it out on Twitter, YouTube, or whatever is talking about magic these days. I guess Kotaku and Polygon also. There was a fuss about one of the main cosplayers in the magic community put out something that said that she was going to quit being involved in magic and doing cosplay for magic. And it was due, at least in part, I don't know if she explicitly stated that it was the only reason, but due at least in part to some level of her harassment and or perceived harassment. And I don't want to take sides because I did not read every single thing that was sent to her. So I have literally no idea what level of harassment she received. But I don't, want to say that she's a liar either. So she felt that she was harassed to a certain degree. Other people in the community have felt that she was harassed to a certain degree by one of the larger content creators in Magic. So that caused a giant storm of everyone in the Magic world blowing up, and I think some positive things coming out of the blowing up and a lot of negative things coming out of it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's anything in particular. We talked about this before the show. I don't know if there's anything that I need to add to this personally, except, I don't know, trolls are shitty. But also dogpiling on a troll is also shitty.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think that's the general message. All right, so this is what I compared it to before the show. All right, the guy in question, and whatever, I'm not gonna cover up name. Christine Sprankle was the cosplayer, and Jeremy from Unsleeved Media, or he has a couple different brands. So I don't know which one to go with. But anyway, this guy, Jeremy, he is a Magic content creator and he has his opinions. And his opinions, I would say, are contrary to maybe the majority of Magic players. So he's potentially in the minority. But he has a huge following, 150 or whatever thousand followers on YouTube. I don't personally agree with most of his politics, et cetera, but I respect the fact that somebody's out there doing what they're doing. And I compared him to a Bill O'Reilly, or a Glenn Beck, where they have very divisive opinions. They're not necessarily, they're pretty, in my opinion, extremists. And some people do get attacked in that. And some people do get their feelings hurt from that. And I'm pretty apathetic to people's feelings in general. But if somebody gets their feelings hurt and they want to leave the Magic community, I get that and I understand that. As long as that person did not feel unsafe.
Yeah, and I think that's
crossing a different line.
Yeah, that definitely is. Whatever you want to say about people's politics, etc. I mean, it's 2017. You can't escape politics. Like, people who argue against safe spaces are never going to be, like, that's always going to fall on deaf ears for me. Like, nobody should feel unsafe in what they're doing. Nobody should feel like they have to put up with a certain level of harassment just to do the things they love. And it really sucks that Christine decided that she can't be a part of this anymore just because of the internet, right?
Right. It sucks that she feels that way, but also at the same time, I don't know all of the circumstances involved, and other people have left the community because of the fact that just so much drama is like, I want to say, Sybin, he felt like he was kind of excluded from certain people too. And I don't want to get into that because that's even a different, but he said he's not going to do content anymore. So, I mean, to me, like, I don't care, if one of those users came out and said, like, I think what you guys produce is crap, I'd say, cool, congratulations. Like, but at the same time, I don't like that people are getting driven off by it. Right. But he does have a right to exist. And if you really disagree with the individual, I mean, the same as, Glenn Beck, O'Reilly, or the liberal ones, which I don't listen to them either, if you have a problem with them, then you stop patronizing them, like, unfollow them. If you have followed them in the past and you really disagree with what they've done, don't give them money. And this doesn't just go for Jeremy. This goes for any content creator, including me in any of the content that I create on a variety of sites. If you don't like what I'm doing, your vote is to follow or unfollow. And I'm cool with that. It means I either need to adapt or go away, one of those two things. And so if nobody likes what this guy is doing, then they unfollow him and he'll eventually go away because he can't make money doing it. Because, I mean, my understanding is, to a certain extent, this is his livelihood. It's not for me, so I really don't care.
Right, yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, like, if everyone except for 3 people unfollow me, then I'll just start talking to those 3 people. But that's kind of my take on it. But I will say that just because he and or his followers had some sort of negative thing to say about somebody does not mean that the reaction should be for you to say something negative about that person. That's dumb. It's a great way to start a fight. It's a great way to make yourself look stupid. And it's a great way to lose a fight.
I mean, and there's also, I don't know, my one animating mantra about the internet is don't start fights on the internet. Or don't fight about anything on the internet. Like,
well, they have there's nothing good to come of it.
Right.
What are you gonna do? Like, I don't care if Titans, like, Boogie, what is it,
2988, I think.
2988, yeah. I mean, he's come out and talked about this too. Dude has 4 million followers on YouTube, okay? As opposed to Jeremy, who has like 150,000 followers.
Yeah.
Like, and he wasn't even like particularly, he didn't like say, Jeremy's the worst person, but like, why even bother? Like, I mean, saying something, I think that the best things that have come out of any of this, which there have been some good things that came out of it, the best thing that came out of any of this is people saying, you know what, let's just not even say negative things and say positive things to the content creators that we do appreciate. For every time you want to say, hey, this person sucks, say twice to content creators that you really like.
I do agree with that to some extent. The only reason I think, I mean, we had talked about this before the show, like whether or not we should even talk about this in general, because we think it's kind of cut and dry. Like, don't do that shit. Don't be a dick, right? Like, follow fucking Newton's law and end of story. The only thing that kind of tipped it over for me when we were talking about it is, I don't think this is the Magic community's Gamergate, but people who are familiar with that will know that there are a lot of publications that could have said something at the time about the level of harassment that were thrown at those people involved in Gamergate, and they didn't. And so I guess if anything, like, I would do this just to say, yeah, this is shitty, but don't treat cosplayers like that. Yeah. Don't treat people like that. But
don't treat humans like that. For Christ's
exactly.
sake, people, like, just don't. Why would you ever give anybody a death threat?
Yeah, it's so, I don't know. It's funny because I'm teaching this new media studies class, and I had I was, of course I'm an English teacher, so I would try and throw some Shakespeare in there, etc. But I came across this. Yeah, I can't remember if I came up with this. I probably didn't because I liked it. But there's a quote from Julius Caesar that says, the play anyway, that says the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. And someone else had replaced stars with memes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. That totally is. Like,
the problem isn't the internet. The problem is the people that use the internet.
Yeah, I don't almost feel. The more I think about this, the more I think it's just we have created a tool that we're not mature enough to use. Like,
yeah, 100% agree. There are just too many people who can't take either side and just internalize it and think and not just react with rage. Like, I can listen to Jeremy, which I have. I've listened to his stuff before. I say I don't agree with it, but I can listen to Jeremy and I can disagree with it and move on. Or I can disagree with it, maybe come up with something like, hey, have you considered this? And if I want to comment, put a comment like that. Like, hey, it's just something to consider, but we don't always have to take something and like agree with it or disagree with it to the grave.
Yeah,
and that's the internet.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we just, I don't know. Again, like I said, the more I think about it, and I want to be very clear, like, I'm totally on Christine Sprankle's side on this one. Like, I'm not trying to mitigate the fact that what Jeremy did was shitty. Like, he totally did a shitty thing. Don't do that. Why the fuck would you go after why go after cosplayers? Who the fuck is that hurting?
I mean, I think that he doesn't see the value to the game, which we're going to kind of get into the whole, like, enclave and wanting the game to be something that you want it to be. Sure,
yeah, and like I mean, he has a weird rant about representation in media, and like how people, the majority of Magic players look like him, but he's not reflected on any cards, and I don't know. To me personally, that says more about like body image in America than it does about like and like unspoken like body image issues with men. Like, I have fucking body image issues, as a guy. Like, I grew up as a fat kid, and now I'm not fat anymore. But I still like that retains in my mind. Like, I still have that shit because it's a weird social, weird fucking stigma shit. Like there are issues you could kind of bring up. I don't think he does it in a great way. I don't like his stuff, so I don't I don't follow him. I don't watch his crap. The only reason I watch it now is because this thing happened, and I happened to be all drugged up on Sudafed last night, and I couldn't sleep. So
right. I mean, yes, I listened to, just like I listened to. Oh God, not O'Reilly. What's the
Beck?
No, God, no.
Hannity.
I will listen to Hannity from time to time because I want to be informed of the other side.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
I think living in a bubble is a stupid thing. I think anybody who just wants to live in their echo chamber are probably more of the problem than anything else. You need to challenge your beliefs and your thoughts at some point.
Yeah, and I do think like that is a really unique experience anyway, whether it's like a piece of media you don't like, or if it's just like thoughts in general. Like, one of the things I really like, and I really miss it. He's in law school now, so he can't do it as much, but Grandpa Growth, Eric, when we used to go back and forth about stuff, like he's much more of a conservative guy.
Sure.
It's funny because he, like, I think part of his undergrad degree was writing some dissertations about why unions suck, and like, I'm a local union president.
Right.
So like I loved going head to head with him about that because we have that distinct disagreement, and I'm never going to be on his side. But, you know, when your beliefs clash against someone else's, I think that's more of a time for reflection on your part and deciding what you really believe. And like, you can really dial down to, you know, all right, that's that point that guy made. All right, no, this is why I hold this belief. Like, this is challenging my belief, but a challenge to your belief is also an invitation or an opportunity to strengthen your beliefs and really, you know, center yourself and say, this is exactly why I believe what I believe.
Yeah. But I mean, you also need to be open to like contrary beliefs. You
sure,
know, like,
absolutely.
Like, I was, you know, people have their different opinions. Like you said about unions, you know, people have their different opinions about like homeowners associations and things like that. And one of the weirdest, like, cause I was in a homeowners association and I felt one way and then I didn't feel that way. Like, and I read Contract with God, by Will Eisner, which if you don't know who Will Eisner is, he's, you know, the guy that the Eisner Awards are named after. So he's one of the best comic book artists of all time. And I was like, I literally, through reading that, which is really just about people and neighborhoods and gentrification and things like that, started to question like everything that I was thinking about that top. So, I mean, you need to leave yourself open to like seeing other sides of things. Yeah.
And a good piece of media will do that, right? A good piece of media will force you to force you back on your heels and think, do I really agree with that? You know, what about, like, it'll force you to reflexively think. When I say, you know, challenge your beliefs also, there is that opportunity for maybe my beliefs will change a little bit. Maybe I don't think, you know, maybe this thing I really held true, isn't, you know, like maybe I shouldn't be laughing at this thing, or maybe I shouldn't do whatever, or think about all the sexual harassment crap that's coming out recently. And you're just like, oh, Jesus, like, I used to be a fan of Louis C.K. Can I still call myself a fan of Louis C.K.?
Right,
because I laughed at those jokes?
I think you can be, and that's another thing. Like, I think you can be a fan of the entertainment that's generated without being a fan of the person.
Right. And, you know, this is one of these things I think we're just going to have to grapple with as a society, and we haven't grappled with it. And I think there are definitely like undercurrents in America that we never really grappled with. There's a great new podcast, if anyone wants another podcast, called Reconstruction over on Slate, about how we never grappled with Reconstruction. So, for instance, like, that is an undercurrent that happens in society. But this media thing, I think we will, because we're going to have to. Like, the internet is something that we deal with every single day. Like, we're going to have to learn somehow. We're going to have to come to grips and like mature in the way we communicate with each other, you know?
Well, we'll just repeal net neutrality and that'll fix it all.
Oh, that'll be fine. Yeah. Well, because then we won't be able to access it anyway. Like, when it takes me 6 hours to download a YouTube video. Yeah. It'll be fine. So, oh, good. Anyway.
See, we figured it out.
Thank
You're
God.
welcome, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, FCC.
So kind of moving this into, I guess, what was going to be our third community topic, but, so the question, I guess, that Mark had posed was, why is complexity in Magic such a plus when it's generally considered a negative in other games? So do you want to kind of address, because I think we felt similarly about this?
Yeah. You know, this topic was brought up, because I finally got a chance to play some Ixalan Limited, over the long break, actually on Black Friday. And I successfully avoided buying other shit at the game store when I did it.
That's good.
That was pretty good. That was my personal achievement unlocked. But also there's an article by Bruno Diaz that I posted on here. Bruno Diaz is a game designer, and I like reading game design things. Like, I'm never going to design my own game. Like, I never want to work in the game industry, even though that's one of the things I really love. But he had a really neat article about how Magic the Gathering, first of all, I mean, the title is misleading. It's called Magic the Gathering is Sesame Street, which on its face, that makes no fucking sense about why we were talking about that. But it's talking about how Magic is transitioning from a popular product into a cultural fixture. And that's right at the top of the article. And part of the interesting part of that cultural fixture is a lot of things in culture are seemingly easy on their face. They're seemingly very simple. You know, that's why they get adopted widely, because it's a thing people can easily grok. Right. And, you know, like, Monopoly is a widespread game. It has been around since the 30s. And it's really simple. You roll some dice, you go and you buy some things. Like, it deals with things that it easily lends itself metaphorically to what we do in real life, right? Fucking Magic does none of that.
Right.
And the fact that Magic defies that, like, there's a quote that I really like, from that article. I'll just read, and you can read the rest if you want. But Bruno Diaz says that Magic constantly threatens to go off the rails, to fall apart under the weight of its own complexity, to explode with unexpected possibilities. This kind of weirdness isn't the norm, but it's present. Magic entices with the possibility that the system can be broken and that that game can be tricked into doing things that were never intended.
Right.
And
I mean, I think that there's a truth in that, but I think that, so I know that Wizards has over the years talked about, the fact that Magic has a high barrier of entry, to some people, and, they want to try to alleviate that. And so they're kind of calling for more simplistic design, et cetera, et cetera. I, for one, I mean, as an experienced player, don't agree with that design concept, but I do agree from a marketing point of view. I mean, to be able to get more people into your game, you have to have a more simplistic game. I mean, the highest selling games of all time are probably, like you mentioned, Monopoly, checkers, chess, Othello, backgammon, things like that are played across many countries. They're all mechanically very simple.
Right.
You can learn all of the rules that will never change inside of a day.
Yeah. And I think, they're intentionally done that way, right? When people think of board games, they think of the Monopolies, the checkers, the chess,
Absolutely.
Whereas, when I get together with my friends and I think of board games, we think of, hey, let's go break out, War of the Ring or, Star Wars Rebellion or, I just got Gloomhaven in the mail. I don't have space on a bookshelf because that fucking box is 20 pounds and it's this, it's ridiculous. It's crazy over the top. I would have to set aside a Saturday, just to even break into it. And I'm really looking forward to that. But that's what I think of when I think about board games. Something I can really sink my teeth into. And that's what I think people really get out of Magic. It's interesting that it has evolved to the point where it has become that cultural fixture. Even people who have never played Magic, they know what it is. It's not on the level of a Star Wars or a Star Trek, but you say those words and people get it. People are they have a concept at least. I shouldn't say they get it because they don't, but they have a concept of what you're talking about. If you say, you're into superheroes, people understand, if I say, yeah, I really like Spider-Man comics, they're like, oh, okay, Peter Parker thing, whatever. It just happens to be interesting that Magic defies that staple of if you want to make it widely accepted, make it simple. Magic is widely accepted. There are millions of players. And it's I still have trouble wrapping my head around some rules, Sure.
But I think that's part, I think that, and your analogies of Star Wars and Star Trek and comic books, all go along with this. While people grok what it is because they're just more popular, people can say, oh, you're into comic books. Sure, I'm familiar with 5 characters or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody who's never read a comic book in their life knows what Batman is and Spider-Man, etc. And same thing with Star Trek. Oh, yeah, the Enterprise. There are tropes or themes that they're familiar with. But at the same time, look at any of those subcultures. Look at Trekkies. Look at real devotees of comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Those people have a language unto themselves. They remember chronologies that go back just dozens of years. There's a depth in it, and the depth I think is where those people come together. And I think that's the sense of community that we have in Magic also. I think the depth of knowledge, and EDH is where it shines a lot because you can learn a new standard and then you're like, oh, okay, these cards came out, I have to learn these, and that's it.
Yeah. It's not
the
standard can be legacy. Solved.
Right. So I think that Magic players, like anybody else, are kind of looking for their place, and their place is in this place of complexity, and they're happy that complexity exists. I think if you were to take all of the complexity away from Magic, you'd essentially have Hearthstone, right? It just does all the complex things for you. You don't really question how the rules work. It just does it. You'd have Hearthstone, but I don't think that there's a lot of Magic players that don't play Hearthstone. I tried it out. I hate it.
Yeah, I couldn't
simple.
do it. Yeah. Yeah, it is lacking that essential ingredient, right? Even sometimes when you can't put your finger on it, you're like, this thing I really liked about it, this thing I could sink my teeth into is not there. Like there's that depth, that level that you're just like, no, either it's not worth trying to get that, and when I say not worth, I mean, it's like, there is nothing more on the plate. Like, for instance, like I just saw the new Thor movie, which is fucking amazing, by the way. Probably my favorite movie of the year. But it's not, like, there's nothing, I'm not going to sink my teeth into that in the same way that, like, I also, in the same weekend, saw Blade Runner 2049. Right. You know? Like, that movie requires repeated viewings to get something out of it. Like, there's a lot of meat on those bones. Whereas, like, I don't know, fucking best use of Led Zeppelin ever. Like, if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, this minute. Oh my God.
Actually about that.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't have to be about anything else. There's not, like, I'm not arguing that Thor Ragnarok should be a deep, for instance, like, some people I have read, you know, talk about, like, oh, this is a really interesting, deconstruction about, like, colonialism. I'm like,
I don't think that's
yeah, like, I'm sure you could do that reading, but you're not really going to get much out of there. Like, that's a real shallow pool to sit your foot into. Same thing with Hearthstone. Like, Hearthstone is a fun game, I'm sure, for some people. I'm not a big fan of it. Then again, I still don't get why people like Candy Crush. So, you know, like, but people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, people really like Farmville back in the day. I'm sure there are people still playing Farmville. I'm sure someone's grandmother is still addicted to Farmville. Which is fine, whatever. If that's your thing, go for it. Like, you know, this comes out in a lot of different communities. Like, I can play a really brainless shooter for a video game, and I can also sink my teeth into a really grognardy RPG at the same time.
Right.
So, but you don't go for one, like, and I think what Adam, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think like that thing that people latch onto almost becomes like part of their identity, and why they really like it is because Magic is like a social game. Like, you literally have to have someone else to play it with you. You know, it becomes like when you find someone else who's as into a thing as you are, like, that's a powerful thing, you know? Like, that's why conventions exist, because people come together and they're like, man, you love this thing as much as I do for the same reasons I do. All right, cool. Let's go hang out, you know?
Right. Absolutely. But I think that there's an essence of, and I think this kind of harkens back to the drama that was going on in the Magic community. There's an essence of, in any of these groups, enclaves, whatever that you find, you know, comic book stores, LGSs, etc., they are kind of exclusionary by their nature, not in a malicious way, but I think prior to the show, I referenced, like, it's like Cheers. You know, if you're the norm of your LGS, literally norm, not normal. If you're the norm of your LGS, you know, you walk in and you're like the most welcomed person ever. But otherwise, you're just some guy who walked in. And will they serve you? Of course they'll serve you, because they're not that exclusive. But they're not reaching out to you very much. You know, like, they might say hi as you walk in and then just leave you alone the rest of the time.
Right.
And you know, if you're trying to do a pickup game or something, you literally have to be the proactive person of saying, hey, is anybody playing this format and you want to do a pickup game? Or, you know, it's not an easy thing and I think that kind of club mentality is for some reason ingrained in people, you know, where this is my place. This is my clubhouse, you know, whether you're the Sisters of the Mayflower or whatever that, you know, old school, you know, organization is, or you're, you know, just a guy at a golf club that's like exclusive to men, which does that even exist anymore? But it might.
I'm sure it probably does.
I'm sure it does, because you can do that technically. But regardless, like, people are looking for their own little clubs. I mean, we did it when we were 10 years old around the neighborhood. You know, like, you're not allowed in the clubhouse because I'm stupid. Like,
yeah, like,
you know,
it's not a new thing that human beings, like, form tribes, right?
Right, exactly. So these are just, like, people with like interests that have kind of bound themselves together by the fact that we all know about this really complex thing. If it was easy for everybody to know about it, then that would shatter our exclusivity.
It's true. Yeah, there is a barrier to entry there, right? There's not like a poll tax, to make a really dark analogy. But there is a hurdle you have to jump before you can be in the conversation. You know, the hurdle you have to jump in the neighborhood bar is you have to know somebody in the neighborhood, right? Like you have to be part of that crowd, or else you don't get to be part of that crowd. You know, this is a little bit different. You have
to jump in academia is that you have to have a PhD. It's not necessarily that you know more or less than somebody else.
Right. Yeah. It's just that, you know, you have to get on the publisher Paris train just like everybody else.
Right.
And if you haven't, well, you know, you're off to the side. Right. That happens. I remember. Like that happened to me as a teacher, because as an English teacher, like I was a journalism major in college, instead of an English major. And like I do every once in a while get that weird snide, like, oh, you have a communications degree? Like, I'm like, what? What? Like, back the fuck up. You're not going to give me that snide side eye because I don't have an English lit degree, are you? Like, I have called people on the carpet for that shitty behavior before. But
I mean, my wife has a communications degree too. So
yeah, okay, so we can commiserate. So yeah, like it's a weird thing, and like to bring it back again, unfortunately, I suppose to one of the points that Jeremy was making in one of his videos, because again, I stayed up way too late watching this shit. Thanks to cold medicine. One of the things he was talking about was how he thinks it's garbage that, women, for instance, in this case he was talking about, can walk into a store and not feel welcome. I'm like, well, buddy, I got news for you. Like, I'm a 38-year-old ex-Marine. I walk into a fucking store. I don't feel welcome all the time either.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't have anything to do with necessarily who I am as a person. Like, I don't think they're actively discriminating against me in the way that I do think some stores will actively discriminate against women, or like, you'll walk in and all of a sudden all the eyes will turn and look at you.
See, I don't know that it's active discrimination in that case. In most cases.
I mean, I don't think, how about this? Maybe I shouldn't say active or I will say conscious. All right. I don't think I do think there's an unconscious bias that is definitely happening against women in that community. I mean, whatever, you can tar me with a SJW brush if you want to, but I will say that I have also experienced that, and everybody has, I think, if you go to an LGS for the first time, like, you're not from there. There's that little bit of like, where are you from, boy? Like,
yeah, no. But if my play group just shows up at an LGS out of nowhere, like, people will wonder, absolutely. But if 5 women walked into my an LGS somewhere that they've never been to before and started playing Magic, yes, I think there would be different thoughts that would be had, and probably comments to the locals.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was actually funny. The very first time that I got back into Magic, like, there's a thing I wanted to do, but I wasn't really sure, like, if I wanted to go. You ever like get invited to an event, or an event's going on, but you're like, I don't really want to go alone because I'll feel a little awkward.
Yeah.
Somehow, don't ask me how I did this, but I convinced my wife and then one of my wife's friends from work and her husband to go with me to like my very first F&M. Like, the first one I'd ever been to, because I was just a casual player back in the day. And this is like several years ago now. I want to say it was like 2008 or 2009. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. We'll have some fun. Like the other husband who I hadn't met before, like, he played Warhammer. So he was already into nerdy shit.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, like, I can talk to people. And like, my wife is the sweetest person ever. Like, I can talk her into shit at least one time. So, and that was the one and only time. But we went in and like, I bought a couple starter decks for us, and then we just started playing Magic, and it was goofy in the background. I don't remember what everyone else's, like, I was having so much fun just with the 4 of us that I wasn't really paying attention to the looks. But I mean, we were definitely like off to the side, away from the main group. Like, no one else came up to say hey or what's going on with us. I do remember I got some snide eye looks because I had this shitty taped together box of like old Magic cards, and I remember people looking at me like, that's your box of cards? Like, I literally had that comment thrown at me, but I'm like, all right, well, you're a douche. I don't really give a shit about you. Like, no one made the attempt, and I'm not saying everyone has to do that, but like, there is no real attempt made to make people feel welcome, I think, at most LGSs. Whether or not that should be a thing or not, like, I don't think that that's a thing that happens, right? You kind of have to take it upon yourself when you go, and I do this too when I show up at a new game store. Like, I take it upon myself to be over and beyond the amount of friendly I normally am in life. Like, I will go over, I will sit down, I'll talk, I'll use, like, I'll do that interested is interesting thing. I'm like, hey, tell me about your deck a little bit. Oh, that looks really cool. Where'd you come up with that card?
Right.
You know, like I'll actively have to use it, but I have to think about it. You know, like it's a conscious thing. Like I'm not trying I'm not trying to be snarky or fake about it, but I'm like, I do have to actively be a little more friendly than I am. Maybe, or not to say, this makes me sound like an asshole, but like I have to consciously turn that on. Like I have to be a little more outgoing than maybe I normally would if I was just coming into a Cheers, right? You come into a Cheers, you wave hi to the guy behind the counter, you sit down with your regulars and you go for it. You know, it's not the same way you would act there. So I can understand why, you know, people feel a weird walking into the situations. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you walk into, if you've ever walked into a room when a conversation was happening and the conversation stops the minute you walk in a room. You're like, you might not have been the reason why that conversation stopped, but it was still awkward, you know?
So in short, don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Don't be a jerk. Don't let the fact that you love this thing, this complex, grognardy, nerdy thing that we
you don't
all
love an aspect of it more than anybody else does.
Yeah. Like, maybe I always struggle whether or not, like, to be preachy and just say, like, don't let it become part of your identity. Because who the fuck am I to tell people what should be part of their identity or not? I would say maybe if it is part of your identity, if you do really feel strongly about this game, so much so that, you know, you wear it on your sleeve or whatever, you know, maybe take a step back and try to consider other people's points of view who don't, or maybe people who might want to be and don't know how to get into it. You know?
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's a long way of saying don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woohoo.
So one way to not do that, or do that, depending on how you perceive it, is to play a whole bunch of uncards in your deck, which apparently is allowed right now.
I was thinking in my head, how is Adam? I know you were going with the segue. I'm like, how is he going to do the segue? I'm impressed, sir. That was pretty good. Like, how are you going to bend the laws of space, time, and rhetoric to get around to this? Yeah, I like this. This is good.
Yeah. So apparently, the rules committee for EDH, you know, the people who tell us what to do, said that all silver border cards, minus a few like rare exceptions, are allowed in EDH until January 15th. And so that's a thing. They have clarified a couple things. One, they have said they are not doing this as a trial to see whether or not these would be actually good for EDH. They are literally just doing it as a one-shot thing.
Right. Yeah. And there's I linked to the special announcement on the EDH the mtgcommander.net. There's a couple ones that they're pretty obvious, like Mox Lotus and Ashnod's Coupon are obviously banned. And there's a couple other ones that they say like, hey, you probably shouldn't play with like Akhan's Run, for instance, you know, and a couple other ones. You know, like Johnny Combo Player is you're not going to make any friends if you play that card. But the rest of them, you know, are kind of cool. Like we were talking about the Squirrel Link card before the cast. That's really cool. Like Billy, the guy who writes a lot of our Horde articles, is like super excited about that. And like, why wouldn't you be? It's fucking squirrels, you know. And that's something that you could easily just kind of slot into a deck and go. And we all, like Adam, you have the Cheese Stands Alone deck.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, like that's great. Like so we've all kind of given a pass to certain cards. We're like, that's totally fine. You could just play that.
So that said, I ran this by like my play group last night. And I was the only one who took exception.
Okay.
I actually take great exception to this. So here's why. Because they had a lot of clarifying things, and they said, well, yeah, I mean, you know, if you don't agree with this, then just, you know, you're always encouraged to make your own banned and restricted list in EDH, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. It's a true story. I agree with it. So then why do we do it? What was the purpose of making the announcement?
Does this just go back to the fact that you just really don't like the rules committee in general?
I greatly appreciate the work that they do. I do not like their actions as far as the banned and restricted list goes. I do not think that it is curated in a way that is conducive to help the format. So my issue was just that, okay, you're going to say, well, yeah, you could just modify it anyway. Great. So I'm allowed to play silver border cards whenever the hell I want. So if that's the stance, then why did you do this? So it's because an unset's coming out? Cool. I initially have to think, what are they getting out of it? Because there's literally no reason to do this. You could write an article saying, hey, just a reminder to everybody, with the new unset coming out, if your play group decides silver border cards are okay, silver border cards are okay. Let's be willy-nilly like we've always said we are. But no, they said officially, according to our official list, these are legal.
Sure. I mean, it's a timed legality, I guess. This isn't a good analogy, but I think of it kind of like the way... You remember when Grizzlebrand was spoiled?
Yes.
And everyone said, when is that going to get banned? Because it's going to happen. Right. And, there was that month or two that Grizzlebrand was still legal, and everyone... Right. That's kind of what I think of it. We know this isn't going to last forever. This is ridiculous. Some of these are crazy overpowered. And, it's just going to go away. So.
Yeah, but that was waiting for a banned announcement as opposed to proactively in the middle of a season saying, no, you're allowed to use these, but just temporarily because giggles. I mean, I don't understand the motivation for it. I don't. It makes literal no sense to me. That's my problem with it.
Fair, I guess. I don't know. I think for some reason I am. This appeals to my sense of just ridiculous Dadaism when it comes to EDH. It's one of the things I like. Where sometimes they just kind of throw caution to the wind and say fuck it.
Sure, and I mean I'm fine with that as a whole. I mean, honestly, to me it would make more sense to say silver border cards are completely legal except for here's the banned ones. Great. I would have been fine with that. But you should do so at the actual banned and restricted announcement, and you should do so not just because giggles.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I still agree with the fact that, go ahead, for the next month or whatever it is, play with on cards in your decks. It's fine. Have fun. Do so afterwards, or your play group decides, no, you're not allowed to do any of that at all. I don't care. That's all fine. It just left a weird taste in my mouth.
I mean, yeah, all right, fine. I cannot summon the give a shits to really get upset about this.
Yeah, so. No, that actually got me more than the other stuff we were talking about.
Sure, silver border cards legal in EDH. I don't know. Happy holidays. Go play with Fruitcake Elemental. I don't know. I like it.
These are expensive, I think.
Probably. I don't know. That definitely falls under the weird, that card's that much? I don't know.
I think it's completely due to the rarity.
Sure, yeah.
Supply and demand are both very low.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that said, it's not like I'm going to go out and buy a Fruitcake Elemental for this season. So.
Right.
I would be interested, though, speaking of community.
$67.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that you literally either have to work for the company or you're somebody that the company, somebody from the company has to, give it to you as a gift. They're not, that's the only way you get the holiday cards, I think.
Sure. Or, you pay way too much on eBay, I guess.
Well, so. Yeah, but I mean, that's how they're initially distributed. They're not, I don't think they're given to LGSs. I don't think they're given to, anybody except for I'm literally handing you this card and that's it.
Sure. That's kind of cool. That's if I worked for Wizards.
Given it $150, yeah, all these are, ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a neat little thing, I guess. If you're gonna do it like a limited edition action figure or something, sure, go for it. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about silver border cards in EDH, but I am interested if anybody in the community out there, listeners, if you guys are planning to play with silver border cards, or if you're, I don't know, if you have strong feelings one way or the other. I do not, so I think it's kind of neat, but it doesn't move the needle that much for me.
You have to have strong feelings. You had strong feelings about flanking. Have strong feelings.
I do have strong. Oh, that's the thing I forgot. Speaking of community, just to wrap it up, I totally meant to at the top of the show talk about the comments from our last show, and I'm like, damn it, because Ward called me out on the carpet on it, and I'm like, oh yeah, he said it's like a weird Freaky Friday thing where I usually love it. Yeah, okay, so just to clarify this, all right. So, I genuinely love subpar mechanics and really weird, shitty cards. All right? And I can definitely see the hypocrisy of me espousing the Cephalids deck last time and then talking mad shit about flanking. All right? I will clarify. And the funny part is, I read that and I had to think about it and I'm like, what is the difference in my mind about this. There we go. Right at the top of the segment, I was challenged. I had to reflect on my beliefs. Go through my little system.
And now you're on board with flanking.
No, but I do know why I don't like it. Because flanking is so aggressively mediocre that I cannot, like, I have a theory of movies, right? And I always explain this to my classes too whenever I show them. Like, there's the really good movies and there's really bad movies. I like both, but if you're just kind of shitty in between, I have no time for you. Like, I have no time for mediocre in my life.
So you don't watch DC movies at all?
Yeah. I like Wonder Woman an awful lot. I mean, we talk about it. We're the only two people
pretty aggressively mediocre also.
Come on. I mean, I don't know. I liked Man of Steel too, but I'm the only one. So,
this was also aggressively mediocre.
Man of Steel was pretty mediocre. I don't know. It had that aggressive thing at the end. And I liked punching people through buildings, man. I can get on top of it. You put a Hans Zimmer soundtrack in the background and punch some motherfuckers through a building, Mark is on board. But yeah, like when you get to like, you get +1/+1 or -1/-1 to a blocker. Like, like I can't
value. I
can't break that mechanic really without taking the trip to Magical Christmas Land, or at least getting a postcard from it. And
the season.
I just can't. I can't get excited about it one way or the other, so I hate it. So it is one of these things. Like, it is much like, which I've been saying for a while, I've been hate watching the new Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Which isn't really new. But that show is very aggressively mediocre. I mean, it's not even mediocre, it's bad.
No.
But it's not bad enough to be like, I don't know, Sharknado bad. Like, it is not over the top. You know?
It's much more boring than that.
Exactly, and that's my problem with it. Like, flanking is boring. Like, it's just not, it so doesn't move the needle for me in either direction that I
would say
can't. I can't, Adam.
It's only boring if you're boring.
No. No. That's like saying, man, crocheting is really exciting if you're into it. Fuck no. I'm not getting on that. I'm not getting on that train, man. You can't make me buy a ticket for that. So, maybe macrame is the most exciting thing on the planet, but you're never going to get me to try it. So we just lost all our macrame listeners. But,
Sorry. Right.
Sorry.
Defund us.
So yeah, anyway, so that's the thing. I meant to talk about comment stuff. I don't know. And also, I did also, as long as we're in community, mean to apologize. There was like a week unexpected break. So, holidays, folks. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, I think that wraps up a very long, like hour-long community segment.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you guys have any thoughts you want to spout off on, go do so in the comments. I know our listeners aren't going to be, like, I know our listeners are the best, so I don't have to worry about the comment section. It's very freeing that I don't have to worry about a comment section. Think about that sentence.
Absolutely, yeah.
In 2017, where someone who owns a website doesn't have to worry about the comment section.
Well, I used to help regulate the tapped out comment section. Like on all the decks and things like that, when there were complaints, I was the person who,
oh, really? That's interesting.
Went in and removed stuff and
see
banned people and things like that.
I mean, yeah, I think they probably need to do a little bit more of that. So, I mean, I'm not throwing shade at you.
It was when the community was much smaller, so it was a little easier to regulate at the time. But
I mean, I only mentioned because like last time I remember over the summer, like I was building my Derpy Phage deck, and like even EDH Rec, I think I will throw a little bit of shade their way and say like, hey, maybe some of your top decks that you list for Phage shouldn't be homophobic slurs in the name of the deck. You know what I mean? Like,
it's hard to.
It's
hard.
It's
hard to regulate how many decks are coming in. But
yeah,
they do try when they see stuff that's bad.
Yeah, I just that was a sticking point for me.
But I mean, you're right. I couldn't stand stuff like that. But
yeah, but I mean that's also that's the internet. And when you grow to a certain size, like we're also a benefit because we're like small and niche. So, like, I totally dig that too. I have no need to have hundreds of thousands of followers. I don't know what the hell I would do with that anyway. Like, talk about mediocre. Like, my life is so boring that, like, what would you follow? I don't know. Like, look, I had the same salad for lunch that I had yesterday. Isn't this exciting?
That sounds bad.
That's it. I like my salad, right? I just got some nice blood orange balsamic vinaigrette to go on my salad.
Stop it.
I was excited. All right, then we need to fucking move on. We're talking about salad dressing. We've officially jumped the mediocre shark. So stick with us, folks. In strategy, we're going to talk about some fiddly bits. So stick around.
Fiddly?
Fiddly. Oh, perfect
Fiddly.
timing, because I need to... Apparently the fiddly bit scared away the cat, because now she wants to get the fuck out of my office. So,
Oh, all right.
just excuse me for a sec. And strategy this week, folks. We're going to talk about playing with your fiddly bits for fun and profit. Don't think about that sentence too much. Which one of these new and some might say overly complicated, overly fiddly parts of Magic that they've added in recent years are kind of worth laying into? Adam brought up in the interstitial why I did not put cumulative upkeep or poison counters on here. Because I feel like that's a thing that's been mined. You know, like I think...
I don't know. I don't hear many people talking about age counters, do you?
I do have to say, once we did... oh, shit. What was the... who was the dude who pours water into himself from Kamigawa? Who, like, lets you take a cumulative upkeep counter off of him?
Wow, I have no idea. But
whenever we did that Entourage segment, I fucking can't think through the drug haze today of cold medicine, but it's in there somewhere. Anyway, yeah, I think cumulative upkeep. Also, I don't really like cumulative upkeep that much, but I like really fiddly weird shit. So, yeah. And strategy this week, we're going to talk about some of the newer fiddly weird shit, and then technology, we're going to talk about some of our like weird one-offs. So, anyway, strategy. First off, I think we're going to talk about this in category by category, and specifically, like some things I think are worth going into, some things that definitely aren't. But let's start, since we are a Commander podcast, with the Commanders, specifically the Commanders from the 2015 Commander set, which all dealt in some way with experience counters. And these are the only ones, actually, in the game that do deal with experience counters. So, I don't think we need to read off all of these, do we, Adam?
No.
I think these are a known quantity here.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 5 of them.
Yeah, well, I would say there's 4, and then there's Calamity, so...
Hey, I won my league with Calamity, I think. So, yeah, experience counters. I mean, experience counters are essentially a counter that goes in the command zone that, in this case, 5 specific commanders reference. And they are triggered to go into the command zone, you know, as referenced on the card, and then have effects as referenced on the card. I never minded the concept behind experience counters. I now do not like them.
Oh, really? Okay, because I actually had the opposite opinion.
Oh,
like I was lukewarm on them, and now I kind of like them. So you first. Let's get the negative out of our systems first.
So I liked them at first because I think that it's fine design space to deal with. You know, we're in Commander, we have a command zone. You know, having commanders that relate to that. Is absolutely fine, and most of them worked fine. And you still, well, three out of the 5 worked fine. Okay, that I'll stop there.
Which is a wait? Are you? I feel like Azuri is the one on the edge. Right, he would be in the 3.
I have seen some very very good Azuri.
Yeah, he would be in the 3, right? Like the 2 are Daxos and Calamity.
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
Those are There's a sharp divide.
Daxos and Calamity are not very good. The other 3 are fine.
Yeah.
But the problem that has kind of worn off on me at this point, and we'll get into this when we get to one of the other ones as well, is it's now been long enough that it's just a parasitic random mechanic that's just one more thing that that newer players would have to get used to. You know, you break this out against somebody new and they're like, wait, experience counters? How does that work? You know, it's this whole new thing. And it's fine if you had other cards in that set and other cards just one-offs. You know, like if you have an experience counter, it gets this bonus, or instead of only giving the bonus to these 5 creatures only, which are very build around and very good, creatures for the most part. But I think that now that we've left it behind, it's just kind of like, okay, so you did that for what? Like, I mean, you could have done it with +1/+1 count. You could have done it in a million different ways.
Mm-hmm. I do think it's
need to be done this way.
Yeah, it's not a very elegant system, right? Like it's one more thing to keep track of. I do agree. Right. I don't think it's that hard to grok.
Yeah, fair enough.
As far as counters and fiddly bits go, like I remember as a new player or a person returning to the game, like at first, fucking planeswalkers were beyond me. Like
they were much more complex. I didn't understand how they worked when I just saw one either.
Right. So I do think that, like, yes, this is one more thing to keep track of. I do think it could have been done a little more elegantly. If it was going to be done, I would have liked to seen them lean into it a little bit more. Like, I feel, and this is, of course, me. This is the internet. Of course, I'm going to spout off unfounded assumptions. I think that the R&D team was probably on the fence about this too, based on how little else, like, there's only 5 cards in Magic that reference it, right? So they were always like, well, it's not going to really bleed over into the rest of EDH, and this is its own kind of thing. I mean, the flip side of that is that it does make these 5 special,
right?
And they do neat things. Like Azuri is a fun. I don't think Azuri is particularly powerful, but he is fun if you're rolling like an elf ball, right? If you want to do green-blue elf ball, go for it. Or green-blue weenies or whatever. I don't know. You should do
they are fun cards. And don't get me wrong. My criticism has nothing to do with, like, these decks were fun to play at the time. They were not balanced, against each other.
I mean, Marin is the best, right? Like, there's no...
I mean, Mizzix is really good.
Mizzix is really good, but if you're going to put, like, out of the box, I think Marin works well, and Marin was the deck that I played that year.
Marin out of the box was the best one, easy.
Definitely. And I also think Marin is the easiest for new players. Like, if you're going to approach this, and you're going to introduce players to, like, this other area of the game, the graveyard, that's something that I think Marin really lends itself well to. It also lends itself really well to, I mean, a number of different strategies. Like, everyone loves ETB effects and everything else comes in. Like, Marin's a really easy card to grok. I also think that, Mizzix is a lot of fun too, and I have both decks. And I do like Mizzix probably at this point a little bit more. Marin, this makes me sound like the fucking worst hipster, I swear to God. But Marin is like Reanimator easy mode to me. Like, I apologize for the way that came out of my mouth, but that's just how I think of it. To me, there are more interesting things you could do with a Marin deck. Or with a Reanimator deck. Like, I do have several Reanimator decks. I would play Carador above Marin any day of the week, and it does similar things, and I don't know. It's not terribly interesting to me. Mizzix, on the other hand, does require, and this is gonna make me sound like another hipster, like a little bit more skill. Like, it's a spell slinger deck, right? To get the most out of that.
You sound like the same hipster, not another.
Oh, really? Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. So I just have to wax both sides of my mustache now.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's fine. Okay, good.
No, I mean, like, in general, like, I don't care about keeping track of stuff because, I mean, we're in fiddly bits. Like I actually like that about the game. I don't think that they're particularly difficult to grok. I think that the only problem is how parasitic it is. Like, same thing with the partners. Like, the exact same comments were made about partners. This is super cool. Don't let this be the last time we see it. Like,
true.
If you just throw in another card that's a decent card, like just a decent legendary creature in next year's commander thing, and you happen to slap partner on it, that's just like extra, interesting. The same thing with experience. Like, have it be a decent card that maybe interacts with experience in some way. Yeah, I don't like that it's just kind of been left in the dust. Oh, here's five cards. Oh, okay, that's all that you could come up with for experience counters. Because I got news for you. I have more ideas than that.
It's funny to me, as long as we're talking about design space, that they didn't make this level counters. From Zendikar.
Well, they didn't want to deal with the. I mean, my thought would be that they didn't want to deal with the Skullbriar issue.
Sure. Yeah.
Where you have to tell people that it doesn't, because that is more complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, again, like going back to the thing we were talking about community, like Magic is this weird, complicated, like, you know, old growth on top of old growth forest where, you know, you dig into the rules and mechanics and you're always going to find something that breaks something.
Right.
I do think I like partner more than I like experience counters because it opened up more design space. Whereas like experience counters, I feel like you're kind of locked into a build. You know, you're building a Mizzix deck, you're building a Mizzix deck.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong there. Yeah.
Yeah. You're building an Azuri deck, which for all intents and purposes isn't much different than like an Azuri Renegade leader deck, except with one fewer color, and now you get more counters. So
right,
you're still kind of doing the same things. Like they're very narrow focused. Marin, it just happens to be powerful and narrow focused. Same thing with Mizzix. So yeah, that's my big problem with experience counters, just the narrowness, but also what you brought up too. Like they didn't really support the mechanic, so now it's just kind of
Right now, like newer people are never going to see it, or you know, and I think that's just a waste. Is all.
Yeah. I don't have anything against them. I mean, to get back to the question I posed at the top, yeah, are they worth leaning into? Sure, I guess. I think they're only worth leaning into if you're going, like, Mizzix is never going to go in the 99, I think, of a deck. Like, it's going to be a Mizzix deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Marin's not going to go in the 99 of a deck. Like, it's going to be a Marin deck. Which is fine. It's just, that is what it is. So, let's go into, as I was talking about again in the last segment, an aggressively mediocre mechanic. Energy counters.
Yeah. All right, so you started off with the ones that I have to be negative about, but it gets better for me.
That's good. Okay. Well, I mean, I like that kind of flow. Like we started off kind of negative anyway, and we're kind of like moving into more positive stuff, and then just derpy stuff and technology. This is the way Commander Cast should flow.
So let me say the positive things I have to say about energy counters first. I don't mind the wingdings. I don't mind keeping track of them. I think it's a neat idea. I am more okay with this being our new resource than I was with the actual wingdings from Eldrazi being our new resource. But I have the same issue with both of them. The issue is you're probably not going to see energy counters again, if ever, for another 10 years.
Yeah, there's just
okay. Yeah. So there is no energy deck in EDH. We don't care about it. It's dominated standard because they had to try and actually make them good in that environment where people wouldn't play them at all.
Right.
And so it's just, to me, it feels like it's just one more thing to make the game complex some of the time. It's like Monarch.
That is true. Although I really like Monarch. Monarch, I think, is the opposite of energy counters, in that Monarch is really easy to grok. It has a very definite advantage. You're the Monarch for a couple of turns. Like you've gotten your card advantage.
I like Monarch much more than I like either of these two things, but they are parasitic mechanic. I mean, why is Arcane stupid? Arcane is stupid because, or Spliced Arcane. Spliced Arcane is stupid because Arcane was only in one set. It's so parasitic that it's just the most useless mechanic. You can't ever build around it. You can't ever actually use it. You know, energy counters are going to be the same thing. Like you have a few creatures and things that are energy counter dumps, but congratulations. Like what are you going to do with it?
I do have to say, as the person who keeps trying to make decoction module and the module thing, the modules aren't the station combo, but I still really want to do module combo.
See, I am completely, I would rather just do station because the
station's way cooler.
Combo is just not as good.
Yeah, module combo is not as good. I just kind of I don't know, man. There's something, it's not rational, but I would just say that the modules, for some reason, I really like.
Right. On the positive side, I think that the design of the little symbol I kind of liked.
Yeah.
I thought that playing it in limited was definitely fun. And I think there are a couple, and I do mean a couple, of cards that are maybe worth playing in EDH that have energy counters on them. But again, leaving them at that and never the smart thing to do would be to put out energy counters and then the 2017 Commander decks have at least one that has energy counters in it and some new energy counter designs. So that Commander players can get something else out of it also. A commander that actually cares about energy counters or something like that.
Yeah, I will totally go with that. I look at energy counters when I'm building decks, and honestly, if it's not Demon of Dark Schemes, And because I just really like that card. I think it's the best card with an energy counter printed on it. I have to wonder, like, why am I playing this?
Yeah, I mean, I play Demon of Dark Schemes, but yeah, I mean, you could have given me any other resource as how to trigger him, and like, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's not
I'm not going to build a deck around the energy counters. He's just decent value on his own.
Right. Yeah, he is similarly, like, I keep wanting to try out Aetherworks Marvel, you know? Because I'm like,
which I do run.
Yeah, like, it seems neat. Like, it's one of those things I put in a deck, just hasn't come up in the 99 yet.
Yeah.
But, like, that itself, that is self-contained. And I feel like if you're going to put, like, you certainly can't say whatever you want to say about Kaladesh. You cannot say that they didn't lean into the energy modules. I just don't think they're worth it. Like,
I think that the cards that we're pointing out that are playable in EDH are ones that, same thing with like Aethertide Whale. They're cards that both give you energy and give you a way to expend energy. And that's the only thing that makes them playable in EDH, because you're not going to build an energy deck because there's not enough of it.
Right, yeah, and there's not enough to do with it.
Right, so I mean, if you have a card that like, oh, okay, well, this gives you energy and it gives me a good use for it, like the Demon, Demon of Dark Schemes, then that's fine. Otherwise, it's kind of like, who cares? Yeah.
It's funny that, like, this set that this thing that they tried to make interconnected, like, they're trying to make some synergy in there.
Right.
It's just the synergy doesn't. I mean, maybe it worked for Standard. I didn't play it in Standard. I heard it was really good. But whatever. It doesn't work for EDH because the synergy isn't worth getting there.
Right.
It's not, the effects aren't powerful enough. It's not over the top enough. You're not getting enough out of it, so there's no reason to really work with it. You can do it. I mean, just like you can build a flanking deck. I would say that your efforts are better spent elsewhere.
How dare you? How dare you? Sir?
I know. You and Ward are just slowly sharpening a knife. So, but how about this? If we cover the two Fiddly bits that I would argue that most people probably don't like, but to move on to one that I actually really do like, clue tokens.
I think the next two I like.
Yeah, definitely. I like the next two as well. Clue tokens are kind of cool, man. I really kind of like some clue tokens. For anyone who doesn't know, clue tokens, the thing you get with clue tokens is tiny little artifact. So I'm already on board. There's a little artifact token, and then you can pay 2 colorless to pop it and draw a card, at instant speed whenever you want to. That's just really neat. It's got, the most powerful ability in Magic, draw a card on it. For 2 colorless, I do think in a lot of cases, but there are times when I'm not gonna say in a lot of cases. In some narrow cases, it kind of shores up some things, or it gives you an extra little added bonus for something you're already going to do anyway. So I do think it is worth playing in some places. For instance, I'll go with my first one. Bygone Bishop. Yeah. Bygone Bishop is a card that has been coming up in a lot of my white decks, just generic white decks, because it's really good, especially weenie white decks. So Bygone Bishop is 2 colorless and a white, Spirit Cleric, flying 2/3. Whenever you cast a creature spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, investigate. Investigate is the mechanic that gives you the colorless clue token. It pay to sack this artifact, draw a card. So, really good. Like, I remember being super excited about this when it came out because it's a card in white that says draw a card. Somewhere on it, so you already do it. But there's also, like, the thing I like about clue tokens in a lot of cases, it rewards you for doing a thing you were already gonna do. Like, if you're playing mono white, like, and you don't have to play mono white with this, you can also play, it's splashable enough for 2 colorless and a white that you could throw it into other decks too, like a green white weenies deck.
Absolutely.
You're gonna get a lot of value over this over time. It's gonna help shore up a weakness, in the way that, like, energy counters really don't.
But I also think that we're more likely to come back to having clue tokens. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
I don't think that I was actually just like thinking of a set the other day that I was like, what could you do in Magic that would be like a unique set? And I think they tried when they made Eldritch Moon to like have a Lovecraftian thing about it. But the Lovecraftian piece that they didn't have in Eldritch Moon was that kind of like hard-boiled crime solving type piece to it.
Oh,
like
true.
Actual mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Like the film noir thing. And I think that you could do that kind of set, and then clue tokens could come back. Energy, I mean, yeah, okay, steampunk is like that's where you're going to have the energy tokens, So I do like clue tokens, both for... I did not like them at first because I thought that they were going to be too weak. I thought that paying 2 to draw the card was going to be too expensive. I was definitely proven wrong. Like it has turned out to be just fine. I don't think that it's overpowered. I don't think that it's underpowered. I think that it's a fine mechanic. The clue tokens were kind of cool looking, had a few different artworks on them, and the only downside about it was, to me, there were still very few playable cards in EDH that have clue tokens on them. But the ones that are playable are pretty darn good. For example, Tireless Tracker.
So good.
Tireless Tracker is amazing. Like, if you don't generate at least like 5 or 6 cards drawn off this guy, I'd be really surprised. Just like, play this guy early and then cultivate and then Farseek and then,
a little pricey too. It's getting up to like almost $5. I think it's like 3 something now.
Yeah, $3.75.
Yeah. That's not almost $5.
I think I want to say it's been seeing play in Modern.
I mean, it's really good. Like, I keep meaning to pick up a copy of this card, just because I'm like, okay, well, duh, I play lands in green. Oh.
I picked one up not that long ago because, it was actually a little bit higher, I think, and I saw it at like $3 or $3.50, and I was like, man, yeah, I'm getting that.
Yeah,
it's a very good card, but there aren't a whole lot. I would say that in total, you've got maybe 5 cards, and that's, to me, a bit of a stretch. The 5 cards.
Okay. Well, let's go down the line and see the 5 cards. There's a couple. Actually, the enchantments, I think, are the things the enchantments, and then the one artifact, which I love.
Right.
Really do.
The artifact I agree with.
Okay. But beyond Tireless Tracker, you really don't have much?
Tireless Tracker, I agree with Bygone Bishop. I think that Bygone Bishop is totally a playable card.
Okay. Yeah. I totally forgot that my last one was a creature. So yeah, good me. Yeah. I really like, and this is another one I haven't got a chance to mess with a lot yet, just because, again, it hasn't come up. But Ulenwald Mysteries is a neat little enchantment. It's 2 colorless and a green. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, investigate. And at the end, I really like the kicker on this one too. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a 1/1 white human soldier creature token onto the battlefield.
All right, so I don't like it because of its internal non-synergy.
It totally does have internal non-synergy. There's something about this card that makes me want to build like the Naya Humans deck. Like the old Hayes had a Naya Humans deck. I really liked it. Okay. I'm not saying that that's going to be good. I'm not saying this is a good thing to do. I just I look at this card and I'm like, I want to play with this card. It's weird. And you're right. That non-synergy is but I also think the internal non-synergy is a problem, but also it can be synergistic on 2 different levels in 2 different ways, right? So you could just
I guess in a way you could you could feel a little bit more free to build up your board, and then if somebody rats, then you just get a whole bunch of clues, and on your turn you don't even have to necessarily have anything in hand. You just crack all your clues, draw a whole bunch of cards, and get a whole bunch of 1/1s.
Mm-hmm.
That still seems like meh.
I mean, how about this? I'll throw this in there. I've been considering putting this guy into a Carador deck, where I'm already sacrificing things for value anyway. Okay. And so now I'm getting more things to sacrifice, but I'm also getting hey, I want to have a little clue, and then I'll just have this thing that I can just, pop. I'll have 2, right before my upkeep, I'll get another card out of it.
Sure.
So there are times when I think that weird, you're right, it's going in opposite directions, the top half and the bottom half.
Right.
But I do also think it's kind of neat. So.
It's interesting design. I honestly don't think that it's that good.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not going to argue it's amazing. Yeah. Don't go out and go. I mean, it's also a 20-cent card. So I'm sorry, 21. My bad.
Yeah. So if you want to go out and buy it,
whatever.
You do. You. I'm not going to tell you that's why you spend your quarters.
Yeah. But come on, we have to get together on did you? No, I highlighted Trail of Evidence, which I like, but that's just...
You did, yeah.
I don't even think we need to really go over it.
I think it's too slow. I mean, when you're talking about being in blue and you're playing instants and sorceries, I really don't think I need an enchantment that's going to slow me down. That's not... Yeah.
I've I was going to talk about it, and I didn't talk about it for that reason. Like, I've put it in like Mizzix, for instance, you know, where Ancients and Sorceries matter, and I haven't been blown away by it. So
right, because I mean, like, blue, paying 2 to draw 1 card in blue is not impressive.
Right. Yeah.
After you cast a spell for a prerequisite, yeah, that's why it doesn't really blow me away. But the next one I think is. I mean, it also doesn't blow me away, but it's good because you need this in some colors.
Or in no colors.
So Tamiyo's Journal is 5 generic for a legendary artifact that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, investigate, which means to make a clue token. And you can tap and sacrifice 3 clue tokens to search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. So if you build up 3 clue tokens, then you just get to tutor.
Yeah.
Which I have done with it. Yeah,
I just really like this card.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5, so I mean, it's in the realm of like the Mind's Eye kind of cards where you're like, that's like, really want to be drawing before that, you know, instead of spending my turn 5 to almost do nothing, you know?
Right.
Which is kind of like how Mind's Eye feels too. It's like, all right, turn 5 Mind's Eye. I can't activate it, so pass.
Yeah, right.
You know, but it is an interesting card. It's a nice design for a card. It's a nice budget option. Like if you can't afford a Mind's Eye, because they're probably expensive again. You know, to me, his journal's under 50 cents. And does what you needed to do. I mean, I've definitely drawn cards off of it. I've definitely tutored off of it. And the flavor text is interesting because they all there's like 5 different versions.
Yeah, that's straight. Like I was looking through the versions as we were talking about it, and I'm like, wait a second, what the fuck is the difference here? Like it's just like the numbered entries are different.
Yes, so the numbered entries are different, and I don't remember what it links to. It might be the clue tokens, but the number entries are a code that it actually like I think ended up spelling out Eldrazi or Emrakul or something like that. When you deciphered the code,
that's kind of neat.
People picked up on it very late in the game.
That's pretty neat. I like that.
Yeah.
I like Tamiyo's Journal mostly because, you know, specifically in decks that have artifact matters, I will play this over a Mind's Eye because, yes, I can get the cool draw card thing, which is mostly what you're using it for, or the tutoring ability. But just popping out an extra artifact sometimes really matters in some of my nerdy, grognardy artifacts matter decks. Like just counting the number of artifacts you have, whether that's for, I don't know, if you're going to do a weird affinity thing, which I have in some of mine. Or, you know, sometimes you're just like, I will sacrifice a clue for something else if I need to set. Like, I can throw a clue to Clark Clan Ironworks and get 2 mana, you know, if I need to, or something like that.
Or use it for Fabricate or to cut off a Forge Master.
Right, yeah. They're just kind of throwaway things where like, I don't really need the card, but I need this other thing that I need an artifact for, and I'd rather not sacrifice another permanent for it. So like, I really dig Tamiyo's Journal. I have a couple copies of this card. I'm not saying it's amazing, but it definitely is.
But it goes great like to Ready or something like that.
Yeah, it definitely is a I don't know, it plays its field well. So, yeah. It's like a really good sidearm pitcher in baseball. Like, you don't probably need one, you know, but it's kind of neat to have one on the bench. You're like, oh, okay, that's a
I don't know what you're talking about, but I believe you that it's very similar.
Okay,
this analogy is completely lost on
That's good. I should stop making odd sports metaphors. All right, so moving on from that, like I think we're both generally thumbs up on clue tokens.
Yeah, I think clue tokens are cool. I do hope that we see more in the future, so it's not just a rando thing that happened once.
Yeah, I definitely hope it comes back. Let's talk about the new stuff, the new hotness, treasure tokens. I like me some treasure tokens.
Do you?
I really do. I like they are simple, they are neat, they do not require an investment, and they get me any kind of mana that I want.
I think they're, generally speaking, amazing, because they're just lotus petals, right?
Yeah.
Except for one thing. So I do have some beef. Why is this the third type of token that's named differently, so I can't just use them all together?
Yeah, why is it not a gold token? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only part that I got kind of salty on, because like Revel in Riches is super cool. Do I want to build around that in EDH? Yes. Do I want to put it in a King Makar deck? I would absolutely love to if Gold and Treasure were the same thing.
Yeah, hey, I put it in my King Makar deck because that's a Black Artifacts Matters deck. And it just...
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, if you've got that. But yeah, that was the part that really just got me about it. I was like, man... Like, and I'm okay with it if, like, King Makar was a one-off, Guild was a one-off, and now, like, moving forward, Treasure is going to be what we use for this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it if we do stick to it. But if we flip-flop and like, or another one comes out later on, then I'll start to get salty about it. But in general, yes, Treasure, the way that it functions, the way that it's generated, all of those kind of things, the tokens, love it. But I loved it when it was gold, so...
Yeah, I really liked it when it was gold. There's only 3 that I know of, like 3 cards.
I mean, I use Guild, and I don't have a King Makar deck, but if I did, obviously, I mean, he's very good with that.
Right, yeah. Guild is really cool. Like, I just like exiling things in black. It's just it's still a rare mechanic. King Makar is really awesome now that people kind of picked up on that. King Makar and vehicles work well together.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of other neat things. Like, I pulled a Captain Lannery Storm out of my sealed pool when I did it the other day. And that was a lot of fun. I don't think that's going to be a thing in EDH because it really, like, I didn't win any of the games I pulled her with anyway. Like, I don't think she's really a thing in Limited. I don't think she's going to be a thing in Standard. I think she's neat, but, you know, like, there are other cards, like, for instance, Treasure Map. Which I would much rather play. Treasure Map is fucking amazing.
Treasure Map's fun, yeah.
2 colorless artifact, has an activation, pay 1 and tap it to scry 1, put a landmark counter on Treasure Map. Then if there are 3 or more landmark counters on it, remove those counters, transform Treasure Map, and create 3 colorless treasure artifact tokens with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And when it flips over to Treasure Cove has tap for a Wingding, or tap, sacrifice a treasure, draw a card.
Yep.
Oh, man.
It scries, it ramps you, it does color fixes. I mean, it draws cards. I like Treasure Map. I mean, I'm not like, I certainly don't think it's like a auto-include, like it's no divining top or anything like that.
No, but I do think it's on its way to being almost a staple.
Yeah, really? You think?
I think it is that.
Seen it played that.
I don't think it is ubiquitous enough, but I do think it is so versatile. That it is. There's like in some decks, sure. Why wouldn't I want to do that? Like in decks, particularly when I care about the top of my library, and I also need a little color fixing, and I could also, if I flip it, need an extra little land, an extra little card every once in a while.
I mean, again, like red and white. Like, this is, you know, it's going to help those colors that can't do any of these things on their own.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, you're never going to need to play this in blue. So, yeah. It's just really neat. Like, I just really like it. It's a good utility, cool card. So. It's
super flavorful. Like, I
absolutely.
Like, this was one of the early previews, and I loved it. I was like, okay, well, now you got me sold on pirates. I mean, they seem piratey.
Yes, they do. Yeah. So which one did you want to talk about, Adam?
So, I am a fan of this thing that doesn't tap. I don't know if you know, but when things don't have to tap to do things, then you can use them many times. And using things many times is even better when you can use them infinite times. So Deadeye Plunderers is a 3/3 for 3, a blue and a black human pirate. Gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, which is potentially pretty good anyway. And then for 2, a blue and a black, you create a treasure token. I just like this card. There's like everything about it.
You don't think it's too expensive?
No.
To do the thing, like you're paying 4 to possibly get 1 back.
So you're paying 4, so you're effectively paying 3, right?
Sure. But then
you
you
net 3.
Well, you're net minus 3.
Net minus 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Net negative 3 mana. Or net negative 4 mana, this guy gets bigger. Which I don't see this guy not getting big very easily. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get big if you build the deck right.
Yeah, I mean, this guy in an Esper deck, amazing.
Yeah, but none of that matters because the whole purpose is that you You play him when you go infinite. You just keep him in your hand until you go infinite. When you make infinite mana, then you do this, and then you have double infinite mana.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, you have infinite divided by 4 mana. But regardless of that.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. No. I like this a lot. Yeah, it's slightly on the expensive side, but mana sinks are mana sinks. There's going to be stall outs in games and things like that. And if I have a way to sink mana and tinker around with my fiddly bits, then I'm going to.
And you can make more fiddly bits with this. So
that's right.
Who am I to complain?
Yeah.
I would much rather, however, that my fiddly bits help me win the game. Like the next card. Revel in Riches, which we already talked about, but we didn't read, so we might as well, because I think it's probably the best, if not the best treasure token. Like, it's my favorite treasure token card.
Yes.
4 colorless and a black enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap. Sacrifice this artifact. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. I gotta stop reading that. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game.
Yep.
Man, I mean, you can do the obvious thing, which is the thing I want to do, is just, Vidalcan Orrery, toss this guy out, toss out a board wipe, win the game. Right?
Yeah, or just route in your own upkeep while this trigger's on the stack.
Right. There's like so many things. Just like, yes, I want to do this. Yeah. Like, even if I was
that's pretty much it. Like this card will. This again is very similar to what we were talking about in the energy stuff. It's good because it has both sides of the mechanic. It's creating the tokens and it's using the tokens.
It's true. Yep.
It's not just doing one or the other.
It has a lot of internal synergy that I really, really like. And an easy trigger, right?
Oh, yeah. Whenever an opponent... Yeah.
Ridiculously
easy trigger. Not even non-token. It's just any creature.
Yeah, that's the even better part, right? So if your opponent is cannibalizing tokens, well, he's not going to do so for very long. Yeah, it's great. Even if I was just going to ignore the you win the game part.
Right.
Even if I just get extra mana off of this, I would be happy.
I mean, honestly, I think that I'll get to a point in my life where all of the EDH decks that I have are only designed around alternate win conditions.
It'll just be the deck at some point, and just throw all of them in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
No. I mean, I just have one that's dedicated to each one of the alt win conditions.
Oh, I thought you meant you were just going to have one 5-color
I mean,
alt win conditions.
One is just Lab Maniac, which I have that deck already.
Sure, yeah.
One is, Felidar Sovereign and all the life gain type ones.
So you're just going to have a Revel in Riches deck?
I do not yet. But I did play one on stream last week, though, and I never saw Revel in Riches, but I had tons of treasure.
Well, I mean...
So if I drew it, I would have. I also didn't see any of my board wipes, which was painful against dinosaurs.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if dinosaurs are gonna make a big splash. Pardon the pun. In
the
EDH.
shock deck I was playing against was pretty decent.
Dude, dinosaurs fucking took me to town. Dinosaurs are real hard to play against in Ixalan Limited. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were playing when I played the sealed. We did a 2-headed giant sealed. And my partner was basically playing Naya dinosaurs. And so he gets to use cards from both of our pools. So he had literally every piece.
Oh yeah, that's gotta be hard to stop. Oy.
And then I basically played a control deck.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, Dinosaurs Go is probably one of the best strategies in Ixalan Limited, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had the one that, could pump out extra dinosaurs. So
it's just ridiculous. It's so hard to, I won one game against him. I was playing Rakdos. What did I draw on my sealed pool? It was Rakdos Pirates.
Okay.
Land Storm Go. Playable. And it is playable. If I got beyond turn 5 and I didn't win, I wasn't gonna win. Yeah,
so. I'll tell you what was not good in Limited. Explore.
Yeah, you think so?
I thought it was gonna be way better than it was, but I had somebody who had the Explore deck against us, and I was like, well, that's cute. The only thing that held us off the entire time is he had a Vraska too, which Vraska is difficult to get rid of.
I mean, definitely see Planeswalkers are definitely hard to get rid of in Limited anyway.
She just starts out so high, and she makes blockers, and she kills stuff. Just not an easy.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get around. Especially because unless you've got the Trampley Dinosaur deck, like, how are you going to get through? Like, there's not an awful lot of... Some of the tribes just don't have any evasion, you know?
Right.
Like, there's like one flying pirate, I think. It's tough. I mean, fun, definitely. And I so feel bad for the person who's trying to go like Merfolk. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. But anyway, like Revel in Riches. You should play it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What's your last one? I was surprised you picked this card.
Spell Swindle? Do you not like it?
I have not played with it either way, so I was surprised only not because I was trying to be snarky, but because I don't think I even remember what this card does.
Oh, all right. So Spell Swindle is for 3 blue. You have an instant that says counter target spell. Create X colorless treasure artifact tokens, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. So it's a throwback to. I'm not even going to try to compare it to, but it is a throwback to Mana Drain.
Sure.
And it is a throwback to, what is it, Manaplasm?
Yeah, I guess so. I was thinking, because I'm a fucking Timmy, I was thinking it's a throwback to that giant conch, you know.
Oh, yeah, Draining Well. Yeah,
Draining Well, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't give you a creature; it gives you the mana instead.
Yeah. So your analogy is way better than mine. I am just that is the card I play. So like Mana Drain, I almost forget as a card because I haven't seen it in so long, and I'm never going to buy it. So
right,
yeah.
So it's good and it's bad. Obviously, I mean, you have to. This reminds me of something like Desertion or like Draining Well, in that you have to leave a lot of mana open.
Yeah,
and hope that they're playing something like a Blasphemous Act, where you're actually getting more mana back than you're putting into it. You know, which is why it's not as good as Mana Drain. Because Mana Drain, I mean, like whatever their turn 3 or 4 play is, you made out.
Yeah.
All you had to do was keep 2 blue open.
Yeah, there is no downside to Mana Drain.
Yeah, exactly. This you have to keep 5 open and hope that they're playing something good. Same thing with the Draining Well, right? You have to keep 6 open, and you're like, is it worth countering their 4 mana thing? You know?
Yeah. I mean, occasionally, like, you know, you ride the train to Christmas Town when someone goes all in on a fireball and then you play this, you know. It's probably not going to happen as much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I put this in, I do like this card a lot because I like that it kind of relates to all those things. It works well in artifact-centric decks, you know, where you have other purposes for the artifacts, like we were talking about with the clue tokens.
Sure.
And then it's a very good addition to the Revel in Riches deck, because people might not like, you know, blow up your enchantment after it's got after you've got 1 or 2 treasures, but a great response to them trying to blow up your Revel in Riches is spell swindling it so that you win the game during your upkeep.
Hey, what is that blue-black partner that deals with artifacts?
Oh, Silas Wren?
Yeah. A Silas Wren deck that plays around with treasure tokens sounds like a really fun deck.
So interesting you say that. We play this smash up thing, which will actually this is going to be our next stream on the Transfer. But we play this smash up thing where we have 50 card decks of each of the partners.
Okay.
And then we randomly pick them and we smash them up together.
That sounds
and then
cool.
we play them, and we just revamped the Silas Wren deck into a Revel in Riches deck.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun. I would totally do that. I bet 100 cards with that. I wonder if you would run out of things to do with 100 cards. You could probably do other goofy, you know, artifacts matter things in that. I feel like that's a...
Yeah, it's not easy, though. I mean, you're right. Like you basically have to make it an artifacts matter deck that happens to, you know, like, I mean, if you really want to go deep on it, then you put mechanized production in there also.
True,
which is what we did. But, so...
Seems fun, though. Yeah.
Yes,
just one last thing on Spell Swindle, because everything sounds better in German.
Oh, God.
Spell Swindle in German is...
Zauberschwindel?
Zauberschwindel.
Zauberschwindel.
That is awesome. That is just fun. That's just fun to say, man.
Our weekly dip into
German.
Probably how to not say it.
Well, and see, now I feel like I can authentically do it because I have a sinus infection, and that's the only way I can authentically pronounce anything in German is with a good bit of phlegm in the back of my throat.
Does the Russian one sound cool?
Was it? I can't read Russian. I can't even go that. I have to stick to at least like romantic languages, or languages that use like romantic letters. So
yeah, that's Cyrillic alphabet is lost on me.
Yeah, I can't do that. But anyway, I think that kind of wraps it up for this segment, huh? Unless there's something else you want to talk about?
I think we're good. I think we can happily move into technology.
I think so as well. So, folks, if you guys have any thoughts about Fiddly Bits, yeah, shout us out in the comments. If you really want to stand up for the energy deck in Magic, I know you're out there, people. I know there's a guy who's just been like furiously scribbling ever since they heard that and was like, fuck you, I fucking love this deck. Maybe there is. I don't think so, but I mean, hey, whatever. Again, my comment on energy counters, aggressively mediocre in EDH, but go for it. So, one of the best things about EDH is that you can try and make things that worked in Standard work in EDH. Whether or not they do, it's a totally different thing. But, yeah. So, stick with us, folks, for technology. We're going to talk about our favorite weird one-off Fiddly Bit cards in a minute. Yay. I don't think I can pronounce that last card of yours. Elecutors? Elecutors,
I think, is how it's supposed to be said, but I don't know.
That is another one of the words I have seen written down and never pronounced.
Right.
But I can say orification. I don't know what's on that card, but I can pronounce it.
Like Gold Panther thing?
Like a weird snouty. It's got a snout. The snout's throwing me. I don't know what. Snout? There's a snout. Like the thing in the back looks like a demon. Okay. But there's the thing in the foreground's furry snout. I don't know what that is. I'm not even sure what like genus that would be. Are we talking rodent? What? I don't know.
Just make
it. Yeah. Sure. Whatever. In technology this week, last segment we brought you the broad overview of what was going on with some Fiddly Bits. Now we're zeroing in, all right? And we're not even going to go into energy counters. We're not even going to go into whatever. We're going to talk about some weird shit because that's what we do on Commander Cast. And we're going to pick some weird one-off Fiddly Bit cards. There's no room for cumulative upkeep here. We were talking about some straight weird crap. So
yeah,
Adam, what's your first one?
My first one is probably my favorite one, so I should have saved it for third. But my first one is Helix Pinnacle.
You have the Helix Pinnacle deck, don't you?
Oh, God, yeah.
It's just like, why did I even ask that question?
So for 1 green, you have an enchantment that has Shroud, and it has 2 abilities. It says you can pay X and put X tower counters on Helix Pinnacle. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, you win the game.
Yeah.
All right. The reason why I had to pick this for Fiddly Bits is because you literally have to have 100 counters.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Shouldn't it be called like Centennial Tower or something? Like, I don't know. Like that. Also, if I was going to build,
I'm assuming it has to do with the story.
Sure, whatever story. So, yeah, it's just kind of cool. I don't know. I've never done that because I feel like I could never get like getting 100 is that hard to do in EDH, but I look at that on paper and I'm like, I could never get to something that high. Even though
I have done it without going infinite.
Ooh, impressive. The long game?
And I have done it many times by going infinite.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like that's just a prerequisite. Like, people look at that and they're like, yeah, okay, never mind. You're going to do silly combo shenanigans. But hey, there's a...
Well, that's the part that I like about it the most, though. Like, I like playing it on turn 1. I'm like, it's got Shroud. You don't run mass enchantment removal because people don't. So whenever I have extra mana, I'll be like 2, 3.
Just throwing it in there. Hey, mana sinks and mana dumps, like, they're important, man.
Yeah.
You know? That's one of the reasons I love Ant Queen. Right? I can just, I've got some extra mana. I need a token. Sure.
Right, but you want to interact with people. I don't. I just want to intimidate by putting more counters on.
I don't know if intimidate is the right verb there, but sure, we'll go with that.
Dude, people will do everything they can to get rid of this card.
Okay, listen, if you... Oh, this would be mad props, but if anyone ever like got like the Jenga tower and built the Helix on top of it, that would be intimidating to me.
Oh, you know what?
Like, that's the thing you should do.
I might have to see if that's a thing I can do.
That would be the best. If you built the goddamn Helix tower with
or at
the
least
tower,
like bring Legos with me. Like
yeah, or something.
Pieces.
Yeah, you can get 100. Like, how much space could 100 Legos take up? Come on now.
Oh no, this has to happen now.
How about this? How about I will throw this out there too, because my wife just bought this for our nephew. You know, you can buy tape that's actually Lego tape. So it has like you can buy. It looks like Scotch tape, but the top of the Scotch tape is not the non-stick side. It's actually like little plastic Lego bits. Like
really?
It's plastic formed in that you can like attach. You can just kind of tape something to a wall and then attach Legos to it like you normally would, like two, like the 2-inch,
kind of cool.
The 2 thing of Legos. Yeah. So envision this: you get your special sleeve for Helix Pinnacle, and then strip a couple of the Lego tape things on it, and then just build your fucking tower to heaven, man.
That might be the option.
I'm just saying it's a thing. So, on a different scale, because I don't want to build things, I want to tear things down. Orification is my first card. I love this card, despite the fact that neither of the two of us could figure out what animals are on here.
No.
2 colorless and 2 white. Whenever a creature deals damage to, put a gold counter on it. Each creature with a gold counter on it is a wall, in addition to its other creature types, and has Defender, so those creatures cannot attack. When Orification leaves the battlefield, remove all gold counters from all creatures. I don't know why I like this card so much, Adam, except that I really want to turn shit into gold.
Yeah.
Just say, nope. I wish it was in black, or I wish King Makar was in white.
Yeah, but that would have been cooler.
That would have been cooler, but I have... I
almost feel like this is what King Makar should actually do.
Yeah, right? Like, you think, like, I guess, though, King Makar touches things and doesn't wait to get touched. But, sure, whatever. I don't really want to finish that sentence.
Sometimes you just...
It's just, no, I don't want to finish that sentence. I don't. I really don't. So, anyway. Yeah, but, like, I like the idea of, like, whenever... Like, I like putting up that wall that's not a wall. You know? It's like, you can attack me. If you want.
It's definitely a deterrent. You know, like... They're not going to attack you with anything small at that point.
That is true. However, if you wanted to do the most Commander Cast thing ever, you would play Orification and then play Bullwhip to make your opponent's big creature attack you and then turn into a gold wall. I'm just saying.
That's pretty not good.
Yeah, that's really not good. Speaking of not good.
Wait, what are you trying to say?
What's your second card, Adam?
All right. My second card is Armageddon Clock. It is a 6-mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a Doom counter on it. I want you to just think before I go any further. You put Doom counters on it.
Fuck yes.
At the beginning of your draw step, Armageddon Clock deals damage equal to the number of Doom counters on it to each player. Okay. You can pay 4 during your upkeep to remove a Doom counter from Armageddon Clock.
We are officially talking my language right now. Armageddon Clock used to be my jam back in the day.
Yeah.
This is a bad way to win a game, man.
Is it?
Yes. I mean, this is a really, considering you have to wait till turn 6 and then start putting slowly Doom counters on it. Like, sure, I suppose if you just want to, like, stall out the board and then smash people, I guess. But this is not good. There's a reason why no one plays Doom. There's a reason why no one plays Armageddon.
Are you sure you shouldn't play it in Gisela?
That would be pretty good.
Yeah.
That would actually be really funny.
It deals twice damage to everybody else and half damage to you.
I mean, I considered putting this in, like, my Death by 1,000 Cuts deck, where I'm, like, dealing out small amounts of damage and gaining life back.
Yeah, that's cute too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, sure. Okay. Maybe that's dumb enough I should put that in there. So, I mean...
It's worth considering. No, it's not great. I love the idea of the Doom counters. I like, kind of old janky cards.
Going back to the eventual show we have to have about art. This is actual Amy Weber art that I like. It's not good, but if the metric is Amy Weber art, I think this is on the high end of Amy Weber art.
Yes. If the metric is Amy Weber art.
I'm just saying, like,
when should the metric ever be Amy Weber?
I mean, when you want to talk about bad design in cards, when you want to, because on the other side of that is still Icy Manipulator. So Icy Manipulator still on. I still
like that, but
no, Adam, no. We're gonna. Don't worry, like people.
Yeah, the art episode has to happen.
It's gonna happen. We're just like waiting for Ward to tell us when he can come on. We're just gonna draw the line in the sand, and then it's gonna be the fucking Thunderdome. So that'll happen. But before we get there,
we almost should have like Ward like listen to the two sides and like that plus his like his knowledge.
I do feel like he should be right. He should be the judge between the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be like, no, you're right, totally. Like he should be calling the shots on that. Right. That would be hilarious.
Which one of you is correct about this? And I'll take a few on the chin. I understand.
Okay. I think you're going to take the Icy Manipulator on the chin. So I might lose the Triskelion argument, but I don't
think I can take an Icy Manipulator on the chin because all it does is like kind of hold a doll in place with like a fake rib cage. Like, it's not going to do anything to me.
It's like a Rube Goldberg machine designed by a blind person. So
exactly.
Sure. Anyway, that actually works as a good that works as a good segue because Jar of Eyeballs is my second card. Jar of Eyeballs, man, this is not a good card, but it's such a card I love though. I don't know. Even when it came out in Dark Ascension, I'm like fucking flavor win out the ass, and also like stuff dies. Yeah, stuff dies a lot. So whenever a creature you control dies, you put 2 eyeball counters on Jar of Eyeballs. It's the best, right? It's so bad. We need more eyeball counters in Magic. Yeah. And then it actually has a relevant ability too, which I've used quite a bit to great effect. To good effect. I won't oversell it.
Yeah.
3 colorless and tap. Remove all eyeball counters from Jar of Eyeballs. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of eyeball counters. Remove this way. Put one of them into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I wish it was better.
Oh, I totally wish it was better too. But I mean,
because I love almost everything other than the costs of this card. I love.
What would it have to cost? Like 1 for you to get it?
1 to play or 1 to activate?
1 to activate. Like I'm guessing that the activation is your sticking point. Although maybe it's both. Huh.
I think if either were modified. I mean, if it was like 2 and 2 or like 3 and 1, 3 and 1 would be fine. Except for you got to remove all the eyeball counters. I don't know. It's a very difficult card to balance. I can see how they probably tinkered with some of it, but like it's so situational that like it could be completely amazing and worth the mana sometimes, or it could be completely busted if you reduce the cost too much. It's just it's never been impactful enough for me to really want to use it.
I mean, how about this? I will go with an old Commander Cast Secret Tech card that this reminds me of that I really like. Night Dealings is very much like this, where that one is whenever a source you control deals damage to another player, you put that many theft counters on Night Dealings. And then you can remove X theft counters to search your library for a specific card and put it into your hand. I think Night Dealings is better than this one.
Yeah, I think so too.
But eyeball counters are better than theft counters. So
I can't agree with that. I disagree with that. I mean, that's perfect logic.
That's empirically true. Right. Which is why otherwise Night Dealings would be on this list. But I do like that idea. Enough. Like it's one of those things like you're getting I don't know, you're getting marginal value for something that's going to happen anyway. So like I would just put Jar of Eyeballs in like a zombie deck. Go for it.
But so far we have had Doom counters. We've talked about Age counters. We've had eyeball counters, which is pretty cool. But you know what can put a stop to all of them?
Oh boy.
A filibuster.
This is hilarious. So
filibuster counters exist, and I think it's the greatest thing ever. So my next one is Azor's Elocutors. At the beginning of your upkeep, I'm sorry, it's 3 in hybrid white blue for a human advisor, 3/5. Which is actually not that bad for like.
Yeah, I
thought it would be like a 1/1 or a 2/2 or something.
Yeah, I mean this is like the strongest advisor in all of Magic.
Yeah, absolutely. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a filibuster counter on Azor's Elocutors. Then, if Azor's Elocutors have 5 or more filibuster counters on it, you win the game. If a source deals damage to you, remove a filibuster counter from Azor's Elecutors.
Adam, I'm starting to sense a combo theme.
What's that?
I'm starting to sense a combo theme with you.
Oh yeah. You think? I love everything about this card. Like, the flavor is hilarious and awesome. Like, you win the game by sitting there and doing nothing, which is amazing.
Try not
it's
to.
the most Azorius thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, try not to read too much into our current political situation by saying that. So,
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's just it's an awesome card.
Do you actually play this card? I mean, I'm sure you probably do, but like, do you actually play this in decks?
Yeah,
it seems like a lot of fun. I do. Like,
yeah, I mean, it goes fine in Pillow Fort decks, you know, like, or Turbo Fog decks or something like that.
Yeah, like, this seems like, I don't know, it's one of these cards that, like, there's a lot of weird Return to Ravnica cards that kind of came out and, like, it went by the wayside that I always wanted to try, and Azor's Elecutors is definitely one of them. I don't know, I gotta get me some more filibuster in my life, I guess.
Had a lot of, like, somehow flavorful and thematic, but also, like, really diverse.
Yeah.
Card design.
I did really like Return to Ravnica. I mean,
I think they did a great job. Well, Ravnica was the same way. Like,
right. Yeah.
Something about that world that, like,
I mean, it is weirdly diverse. Like, once you divide it up into those clans and those guilds,
right.
Yeah, and I don't know, but like, I wasn't super thrilled with, like, what was that, Dragon's Maze? Or, you know, the other sets, like, specifically Return to Ravnica was the one I really liked.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Return
that
to
block was not great.
Dragon's Maze and not Guild Pact, right? That was the original.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I mean, this is how memorable it was, right?
I can't remember, yeah.
Yeah, but Return to Ravnica was really awesome. So
Return to Ravnica was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the block as a whole, but yes, Return to Ravnica was easily the best set of that block.
Yeah, I remember it being, like, steadily less impressive as it went on.
Yeah.
Not unlike Innistrad, actually.
The original Innistrad was just, like, dripping in flavor and amazing, and by Eldritch Moon, you're just like...
I liked Eldritch Moon Shatters over Innistrad. I was going to say, just by the time you got to Avacyn Restored, like...
Specifically in block, yeah.
Yeah, specifically in block. Like, Innistrad, super awesome. Dark Ascension,
That was always a complaint. Like, Avacyn Restored was just like, what? What happened?
Yeah, what? And then there was Avacyn Restored. So, not surprisingly, the last box I ever bought. So, anyway, maybe surprising that I even ever played this card, but Tidal Influence is a card you should probably never play. I'll say that. Like, you just probably don't. But if you own this card, I think you should definitely play it. So
Fallen Empires, nobody owns.
Exactly, right? But you could also buy a box for $5, so who cares?
Yeah.
2 colors and a blue, Tidal Influence. It's one of those, like, you just have to read the Oracle text because everything else is just a fucking jumble on that card. Cast Tidal Influence only if no permanents named Tidal Influence are on the battlefield. Fucking, you got me right from the go.
Yeah.
Tidal Influence enters the battlefield with a tide counter on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a tide counter on Tidal Influence. As long as there's exactly one tide counter on Tidal Influence, all blue creatures get -2/-0. As long as there are exactly 3 tide counters on Tidal Influence, all blue creatures get +2/+0. Whenever there are 4 more tide counters on Tidal Influence, remove all tide counters from it.
Yeah. So I love this card solely for the fact that, like, this feels to me like the first, like, or very early version of true top-down design.
Okay, like, explain that a little bit.
Somebody literally was like, okay, how is high tide, the like structure of high tide, low tide going to be represented on a card? And that is a perfect representation of it. It's garbage. Right? But they did a very flavorful representation of the incoming and outgoing tide and how that's going to, like, help sea creatures or not. You know, like the ebb and flow of that whole thing is very well represented by this giant wall of text that's garbage.
Well, that's the same thing I think of like Raging River. Like, I love that fucking card.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Raging River is just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is obviously back in the day when, you know, I don't know if it's flavor taking over or if they were just thinking in different ways. I'm sure it's like a little column A, a little column B.
Right.
But man, you know, like, it's just so cool. Like, it changes, just like it doesn't, it just changes it subtly, right? Like, the +2, -2 isn't really gonna, you know, put anything over the top or under the top. Although it might, you never know. I mean, like,
+2, yeah, it's decent buff. But you only get it once every 3 turns. And
it's blue creatures, right? So blue creatures, you're not probably going wide with them. Although I have built I
mean, I guess if you're playing fish or something like that, you know?
Yeah, maybe Merfolk. I did almost put this in my Merfolk deck.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's kind of cool. You know? Like,
fish is the nickname for Merfolk. I should have said that.
Oh. I was thinking, see, when you say fish to me...
Legacy fish is Merfolk.
Fine. Technically, I guess. I mean, I suppose they're probably not mammals.
I mean, they're at least part fish.
I suppose. Don't they have legs, though? Some of them have legs.
Some do and some don't. It depends on the plane and variety of Merfolk, I think.
I guess.
That's just getting way too deep into lore for me.
A little bit, yeah, I suppose. Anyway, Tidal Influence. Probably don't play it, but maybe always play it.
Yeah, I mean, 30% of the 30% of the time, it works 100% of the time, so...
Yeah. And that's a good place to end on Fiddly Bits, I think. So, yeah. Folks, if you have your favorite Fiddly Bit one-off cards, because I'm sure that we have missed a bunch, and I'm sure that everybody has some pretty good stories about some really wacky things that go on. Because the weird side corners of Magic are some of my favorite corners of Magic. You know, there are many just bizarre one-off evolutionary, like the platypuses of Magic. Platypi. I'm not sure what the plural is for that. I don't give a shit. But one of those, like, give me your evolutionary offshoots in the comment section below. This ought to be fun.
Great.
And with that, we're going to move swiftly into the outro.
Yeah.
Yay, outro. Outro, yeah. No, I lost it already. I just got through 2 words. I failed at the exit song, Adam.
I mean, we haven't, like, ever done it before.
It's true. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe I shouldn't beat myself up over it.
Yeah.
Next time. Think positive. I'm going to do a little daily affirmation. Fuck, I can't even do that anymore, because goddamn fucking Franken. Shit. I can't even do it. You know?
Yeah.
God damn it. Fucking 2017. Ruining everything in my life.
I know, right?
Anyway.
Forget about the people whose lives he ruined.
Well, there's that too. Yeah. So, fucking A, Al Franken. God damn it. He's probably the one I'm most disappointed in. You know?
I would agree that was the biggest shocker to me.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, Am I really surprised that Matt Lauer was doing some shady things? Probably not. No. Also, do I really care that much about Matt Lauer? No.
No.
So, yeah.
That is the correct answer. No.
Yeah. God damn it, Al Franken. Anyway. Outro. And that's it, folks. We've played with all the Fiddly bits. There are no more Fiddlies. So, we gotta fiddle on out of here. Yeah.
That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't, but I'm just gonna walk past it, and we're gonna keep on going.
Okay.
That's what the outro is. Sometimes you just throw things out there, and sometimes you have to walk past them quickly. So
Yeah, fair enough.
it's kind of like a fart in the breeze, just and you're out of there. So, if anyone else, there's no good way to segue from that, so I'm just gonna go to contact. Folks, if you want to contact us, commandercast@gmail.com, Twitter @commandercast. Adam, if they would like to tweet things at you, or I'd contact you in other ways.
You can definitely hit me up on Twitter @Squire9999 or @the Trinosphere. And also, the Trinosphere episode 1 should be coming up the day after this episode drops.
Nice.
And we have been doing a few streams, and you can catch those on twitch.tv /the Trinosphere or on our YouTube channel. We have the videos from the past ones that we've done.
Very cool. So, folks, you can also check us out on our CommanderCast Facebook page, and a big thanks to everyone here at the CommanderCast Network. We will see you guys next week with more community, strategy, and fiddly technology. So until then, let's get it!